The exercise files for today's course are located in the video description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Welcome to Google Sheets for Administrative Assistants. You're learning with Mo Jones, IT professional and educator. Google Sheets is a wonderful program. Let's see what we have in store for your daily tasks as an administrative assistant. We have two modules. In Module 1, we'll cover working with tables. Also, charts. We'll cover just different page and data views that we can apply to our Google Sheet to make analyzing or just viewing the data more efficient. And we'll also take a look at just different concepts, how we can take advantage of being able to link data using Google Sheets. Go ahead and open up file number 1. Be sure to make a copy of the file so that you can edit it, and come right back and we'll dive into lesson 1.
Looking to support our channel and get a great deal? Become a member today to unlock ad-free videos. That's right, your favorite courses without a single ad. Interested in a specific video? Purchase one of our ad-free courses individually. Looking for even more? Gain access to exams, certificates, and exclusive content at LearnitAnytime.com. More information can be found in the video description below.
Welcome to lesson 1. We'll take a look at working with tables. So if you click on that link, it should bring you to this file number 1. Now you cannot edit the file here. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and make a copy of the file. And we will do this for all of the files that we'll be accessing for this course. Go ahead and click on the File tab, and then go ahead and make a copy. Right? So we want to make a copy for edits. So I'll go ahead and click there. I don't want to make any changes to this one. So I'll make a copy, and that's fine. It says copy of 1. That's fine. I'll go ahead and click on make a copy here. And here is the copied file. We can see this is copy of 1. And now I can go ahead and get started here. So go ahead, pause the video, go ahead and make a copy of that file. Now, we only have one worksheet tab on here. We want to keep it simple. We just want to see how we can work with tables in Google Sheets. Now, as an admin assistant, you may be handed over a file or a spreadsheet that has a list of tasks that you may need to review or print, or even maybe need to update as well. So in this one, we have the task ID, simple numbers in here. We have the name of the task, the priority, the due date, the status, who it's been assigned to, and any comments in here as well. So you may need to come in here and maybe update some of these pieces of information, such as the due dates, maybe assign the task to someone else, or go ahead and add more records as well. Now, as you continue to work with this data set, it's more efficient to convert this to a table. If you notice, once I click on the data set on the bottom right, it's giving me a prompt here to convert this to a table. So I could do that if I want to. I can also right click if you're not seeing that prompt. Notice when I hover over it, it shows me the preview of what the table will look like. So it's going to give me some filters, capabilities to sort, change the colors of the table. I'm going to right click, and here we can convert to a table. So either one of these options will work. So go ahead and click on any one of those. I'll go ahead and right click and I'll click on convert to table. And there you go. We can see that the data looks much different. We can see everything is aligned pretty nicely here. And it just looks better overall now that it's in tabular form. Let's go ahead and view some of the attributes of this table here. On the very top left, we can change the name of the table. Also on this drop down, if I want to expand the table, I can go ahead and expand it as well, or shrink the table. I can change the color of the header row. I'll go ahead and change that there. We have the table formatting. So if I want to, I can show alternating colors. Notice how each row is a different color. And we'll take a look at the table footer a little later on. Other things that I can do is I can convert this back to a list. So if I click here, this will actually remove all of these special features and put it back to a list as well. I can also go ahead and delete the table if I want to delete the table. For each of my headers, we have a drop down. For example, for task ID, I can specify what type of column this is. So what type of data is in this column. Text, numbers. I can even go ahead and specify that it's a drop down. I can sort the column here, A to Z. I can also filter the column. So if I just want to filter, let's say by status, I can do that. I can also go ahead and delete the table column, and I can also insert another table column to the right of this one if I want to as well. Well, let's take a look. I'll go ahead and click on for example, I'll click on the due date here. And we can see it's already using the date format, right? So I can do that if I want to. Let's see, everything else in here is pretty much text. So we only have text, we have numbers, and we have dates. If we were to add another column in here, let's say for the project cost, then we can specify that that's either the currency or the accounting format. So pretty nice. So we've explored all of the drop downs here for the table. The other thing that we can do, if we click on this little icon here, it looks like a calculator or a calendar. If we click here, we can actually do things like group the data by task ID or by task name. Let's see, I'll go ahead and do a quick sort here. I'm sorry, group by column. So you can see what it's done for us. It's kind of reorganized the table and it's grouping it by status. So here are my 2 completed tasks, and here are my other in progress and not started as well. So go ahead and convert your list into a table. Go ahead and explore. Feel free to change the name. I'll go ahead and rename the table. I'm going to rename the table as project tasks. Press enter. So now we have the name project tasks in here. And go ahead and sort by the task name, sort by the due date as well, and come right back. We'll take a look at some more specific examples. Welcome back. Let's take a look at some more of the table tools here. Now I did group this table by status. So currently I'm grouped here. So to get rid of that, if I click on the drop down here, we can see the filters available. So if I want to be able to get rid of the grouping, I need to click back on the views here. So this is a grouped view that we're using. If I click back here on the views, that little calendar or calculator looking icon there as well, I can go ahead and exit this view. So right now it's temporarily being grouped by the status. Now I can create, let's see. So I can either exit the view, I have different view options here. I can save this view. So let's see what happens if I save this view. I'll click on Save View, and I'll leave it as group by status, and I'll go ahead and press Save. So this gives me a way to just toggle back and forth between the different views. So let's see, if I click here on Views, I am going to click on Exit View, and you can see this puts the table back to normal here. So now if I click back on here, here is the view that's available. So I can click here. And as the table grows, it's always going to group based on that particular column. So that's a really nice tool. I'll go ahead and exit that view here. Okay, so we were able to convert it to a table. Let's go ahead and organize our columns here. I want to add another column, maybe just to kind of, let's say, enter some numerical information in here. Right? So maybe the cost of the actual task, or maybe the amount of hours that needs to be allocated to this particular task. So if I want to add a column to the right, if I move my cursor towards the edge of the to the right of the table, we have this insert column right icon. I can also, let's see if I can right click. So if I right click on a particular column, I can insert a table column to the left. And let's see if I click on this drop down here. Yeah, so we have the column left. I'll click on this insert column right. And let's go ahead and name this column. So I can double click on the column or triple click. And let's just call this a budget. So maybe some of these will actually need a budget. I'll go ahead and expand that column there. I'm going to specify that this type of column is going to be a number column. So this is going to be currency. So all the data in that column will have the currency format. So prepare a presentation. I'll put a 0 there, no cost there, no cost there. This one, we may need a budget for this. So I'll put 2,500 here to update the website content. Organize travel itinerary. I'll put 0 for there, 0 for this one, follow-up 0. Plan company event, that may take some, we may need $1,000 for that. And conduct market research, that can be a pretty big one. So I had 5,000 there. So that's how we can add a column. We can see the icon now is visible that this is indeed a budget column. So here's the little paper dollar there. We can see the calendar icon here, and everything else in here is just pretty much alphanumeric. So a combination of text and numbers as well. So that's how we can insert a column. If we wanted to insert a column to the left, again, we can right click and we can insert a table column to the left, not just a column, but a table column. So that's different than just inserting a column. If I right click over here, this actually, because one of the features of working with a table in Google Sheets, once you insert a table, it kind of wants to kind of overpower the entire sheet. So we'll take a look at that a little later. But go ahead and add the budget column. Go ahead and add some numbers in there and specify that this is the currency format. When it comes to organizing columns, another thing that we can do, we can move this column. So what if I wanted to move the budget column towards the front of the table, maybe in between the task name and the priority? Well, in order to do that, I can click on the actual column letter here. So the budget is in column H. So again, typically when you work with tables, it's separate from the column, but Google Sheets is going to recognize this entire column here as a part of the table. So I'll click on the column H. Notice I see the hand here. What I can do is drag this and put it into place. I want to put it right after the task name. And there you go. So we can see we were able to move it and it does not distort the table. We are still good to go. So you can drag and drop and move your columns around if you want to. The other things to do in terms of organizing columns, if I were to insert a column to the right, here is my column. And if you click on the drop down, we can delete the table column. So I'll go ahead and delete this and I'm good to go. So those are just different ways that we can manage a column. Go ahead and make those changes and come right back. Let's take a look at the remove duplicate feature of the table here. So I'm going to add another record on row 10. And I'll go ahead and add a record here. And I'm purposely going to repeat an existing task ID, which is number 5. I'll press the tab key. Now notice when I'm adding another record, the table automatically expanded to cell H10. So it's waiting for me to enter the information in here. So I'll just say review IT budget. And that's 0. This is going to be a high priority item. The due date will be 5/15. This is in progress. I'll assign that to myself. And I'll just say meet with IT managers. Okay, very good. So we have another record in here. So again, the only column that needs to be unique is the task ID. We can have repeating task names. Maybe we don't want that either. We can have one person can have more than one task assigned to them, so we're good to go. I'll go ahead and just let's see if I can right click and pick up the duplicate. I can't do that, so I have to click on the data tab. And if I click on the data cleanup option here, I have remove duplicates. So it's a different experience. Typically, we would just highlight the column of interest and run the duplicate removal tool. But I find it to be more efficient just clicking on the table here. So I'll just click anywhere on the table. I'll click on the data drop down. Here's data cleanup. Here's remove duplicates. And it's just asking me, so by default, it wants to check the entire table for duplicates. I don't want that. My table does have headers, so I'll choose data as header row. And now I can see the names of the headers in here. I'm going to unselect all. I just want to run the duplicate checker on column A, so the task ID. I'll go ahead and click on remove duplicates and let's see what happens. And there we go. So it says 1 duplicate row found and removed. 8 unique rows remain. So literally it found the duplicate and it chose to keep the first one on the list, and it pretty much deleted the corresponding duplicates that occur after that. Well, let's try it again. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. This time I'm going to highlight this column and then run the duplicate tool, and let's see what happens here. So we can see the dialog is different. So right here, it's saying 9 rows and 1 column selected. So we're just selecting from A1 to A10. We don't want to run it on the others here. If I scroll up, let's see. Can't really scroll there, can only scroll down. My data, I do have a header row, so I'll choose that. And it looks a little interesting. It says, column A1. Well, I'll go ahead and click on remove duplicates and let's see what happens if I do it this way. So it says 1 duplicate row found and removed, 7 unique rows remain. Well, that's not the case. It did not remove the entire row. It just removed that cell that had that duplicate number in there. So that's a different type of experience. So if I go ahead and press OK, so this is option 2. Instead of deleting the entire row, it just removes the duplicate from that particular column. And now what I can do is just give it a new ID and I'm good to go. So those are the 2 instances of running the duplicate tool. So instead of deleting the entire record, we may just want to go ahead and address the cell that actually has the duplicate in there. Go ahead and run the tool and come right back. Now, some other things that we can do is we can conditionally format or highlight cells with either a cell color or a font color based on a specific condition. So if we were kind of just taking a look at this list of tasks here, we may want to, as this list continues to grow, we want to be able to just kind of quickly see which of our tasks are standing out. So for example, if we have some tasks that have not yet started, we may want to go ahead and highlight those in red. So we can use conditional formatting for that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight my status column here. And I'm going to click on the Format tab. And right here we have conditional formatting. So I'll click on conditional formatting. A pane opens over here to the right. And we have 2 options. We have the single color. So this is the color. The first thing I'll do, if the status is not started, I want it to be highlighted with a red text color. The fill color, I do not want a fill color. I'll just choose none. You can see right now everything is highlighted in red. I have not specified the condition yet. I'll go ahead and make everything bold. So it's going to be bold and red. And now I'm only applying it to column F. So F2 to F10. And well, what is the rule? we have is empty. Well, I want either text contains or text is exactly. So if that cell says not started, I'll go ahead and type not started in here. And you can see now it's working. It's only highlighting those cells that has that particular phrase. I'll go ahead and press done. And I am good to go. Now, if I want to, I can add another rule, right? So if something is completed, maybe I'll go ahead and highlight that in green. So I'll click on add another rule. And this one is going to be, I'll go for a darker green here, no fill color. And I can even put a strike through if it's completed. Let's do that as well. So I'll do a strike through if it's completed. And again, for this one, text is exactly, and I'll type completed in here. And you can see it's already working. I'll go ahead and press done. And now I can close this pane over here. If I want to delete a rule, I can go ahead and just click on the remove rule button here. And that will take care of it for me. But I'll go ahead and close this. And there we go. So now we can scroll through our list here and we can see which ones have been completed, which ones have not been started. So just kind of giving us a nice alert in here as well. If we want to edit the rule or delete it, if we go ahead and highlight that column, if we click back on conditional formatting, this opens up the two rules that we have. So from here, I can either remove the rule, or if I click on it, for example, let's say for completed, I can remove the strike through and just decide to make the text bold and italicized. I can go ahead and click done. So that's the story with conditional formatting. And so that's a really, really nice option. Now there's a lot of other built-in conditional formatting that's available. We'll take a look at some other ones here. For example, I'm going to highlight the budget column here. And I'll click on conditional formatting. So one option is we have what's called a color scale. So if I click on the color scale here, it's going to assign a different color for the lower values, the higher values, and the median values as well. So right now you can see it's highlighting in green those cells that has high numbers in terms of budget. So the green represents the higher values and the white represents the lower values. I can change this if I want to. If you want another type of color scale, maybe red to white to green. So green is the higher values and red represents the lower values as well. So we do have color scales that we can use. Let's see this one. I'll go for this one here and I'll go ahead and click done. I can even specify, I can make my own colors if I want to for the max value and for the min value, but I'm okay with the default ones that are in here. And I'll go ahead and press done and I'm good to go. Let's take a look and see what other rules are available. So we can apply more than one rule on a set or range of data. Okay, so if I click on add another rule, so I can apply either another color scale or another single rule. So the single rule basically enters the logic. The color scale just kind of automatically compares the values and assigns a color based on the value. The single color allows us to enter some different logic in here. So if it contains, if it's exactly, we've used that before. It's good for dates as well. So if the date is before or after or is a particular date, we can do that. If we want to highlight values that are greater than or less than, we can also do that as well. So these are pretty cool. I'll try one more here. I'll go ahead and highlight the due date column. And let's see, I'll go ahead and change this. This is going to be, I'm going to cancel this. All right, I'll start over. Format, conditional formatting. So now that I have those highlighted, I'll go ahead and choose I'll say, so if these have due dates after a certain date, I'll go ahead and highlight that with, I'll just go for a gold fill color or something as close to gold as possible. I'll go for this color here. So if it's after, I can choose an exact date. Actually, this is fine. So if it's after today, then I'll go ahead and mark it. I'll go ahead and press done. And I am good to go. I'll go ahead and give it a test. I'll go ahead and add another record in here. And let's see if this will carry over. So I just added another record here, and you can see the conditional formatting is not continuing, right? So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can fix that. So I'll go ahead and click on Format, and I'll click on Conditional Formatting. And I want the color scale. You can see the color scale right now, it's highlighted. It's only applying to row 10. So I'll go ahead and click on here, and I'm going to expand this to cover up to 11. But I may want to go ahead and expand this further to leave room for a lot of cells. So maybe I'm planning to enter up to, well, let's say I'll go to row 50, and I'll go ahead and press OK. So this way, if I enter any other values down here later on, I should get the color scale in here. Well, let's see. Okay, so this is not a part of the table. Let's go ahead and add one more record in here. And let's see. Yeah, so it is showing up here. It's just not, need a larger value. Let's go for 5,000. There we go. And let's see, 5,000 here. Okay, so we're still good to go. So even though it's not a part of the table, it's still taking into consideration that specific range. So this will extend for us. If I go ahead and put another due date in here, we can see it's still not expanding. So we have to expand it manually. For part 2, let's take a look at working with charts. You may have a set of data, whether in a list or a table, that you want to create a visual from to tell a story about that particular data. It's a great way to communicate. I'll go ahead and open up my sheet here. Now I have made a copy of this already. So go ahead and open up file number 2 and make sure to make a copy of the file, just like we did before, so that you can edit the file. We have creating charts in here, and we have another worksheet for printing and presenting. So we have a few tasks that we'll be completing here. For the very first one, we have creating charts. Now you may receive a report typically like this. It's a rolled up report. It's the end of the year, and we're getting some monthly summaries in here. Scheduled meetings for each month, completed tasks, new projects, travel expenses, and miscellaneous. So this is not granular. This is just kind of really rolled up into one nice report. So a lot of summaries. So this is a great set of data to be able to create a chart from. So to create a chart, I'll go ahead and click on the data set here, and I'm going to click on the Insert tab. So I have two options. I can either highlight the data that I want to include the chart from, or I can just go ahead and click inside of the data set and have Google Sheets recommend a chart for me. So let's see what that looks like. I'll go ahead and click on Insert, and I'll click on Chart. So here is really the suggested chart that it has provided for me. So it's attempting to incorporate all of the elements from scheduled meetings all the way over to the miscellaneous expenses. Now we can see the projects, for example, for January, we can see the projects has a really low number. It has 3. And then scheduled meetings has a large number at 12. Tasks are higher. So the data is good, but it's just that it's imbalanced. So it's kind of difficult to showcase all of these different series on a single chart. So what we can do is we can head on over to the setup here. If this is turned off, you can click on the top right of the chart and click on the edit chart command here. And we have two tabs. On the Setup tab, right now I just want to showcase numbers that kind of have something in common here. So I'm going to remove the meetings. I'm going to remove the completed tasks, and I'm also going to remove the new projects. And you can see it's much easier to read because now we're just showcasing the expenses rather. So travel expenses and miscellaneous expenses. So here we go. We can kind of see a nice trend as we go from January over to December as well. I just need to go ahead and change the name here. So I'll click on that title and I'll just call this yearly expenses. And I'll go ahead and delete the rest of the data. And there you go. I'm good to go. While I'm here interacting with the chart title, I can make the text bold. I can center it. I can even go ahead and change the size, and I can change the color as well. I'll just make it a really nice blue. And there we go. So that is a quick chart. I'm going to go ahead and move this one down here. So we don't have to squeeze everything onto one chart. We can create several visuals from this data set here. I'm going to create another one. And let's see. So we have the travel expenses and miscellaneous kind of taken care of. We may need to create a single chart to track the projects over time. They don't really have a correlation with the other two columns here anyway. And we can probably put the scheduled meetings and completed tasks into one chart visual. So I'll go ahead and click on Insert again, and I'm going to insert another chart. So this time, like I did before, I'm going to choose the type of chart first before I start removing. Sometimes when you remove these and change the chart, it puts everything back. So I'm going to click on the chart type drop down here. We have 4 suggested charts that we can choose from. So here's a column chart. This one is really nice. This is actually a clustered column. So for January, here are the numbers for each of the headers there. Right? So from scheduled meetings all the way over to miscellaneous. Still not really a good option because it's hard to read the smaller data sets. So for this one, I'm going to leave that one as a column chart, and I'm going to remove the expenses from here. And now we can see it looks more balanced. The only one that's not standing out are the new projects. So I'll go ahead and remove the new projects from here. And there we go. So this is a nice column chart showing us the scheduled meetings and completed tasks as well. Right. Maybe they don't really have anything in common. So what I can do is just create a single chart that displays the completed tasks. So I'll go ahead and remove the scheduled meetings from here. And there we go. So this tells a better story, just a basic chart. And now, just like I did before, I'll go ahead and change the chart title in here. So this one is going to be for, let's see, there we go. So this one is completed tasks. So I'll go ahead and type completed tasks in here. I'll say completed tasks by month. I'll do the same thing. I'll make it bold. I'll center it, and I'll change the color as well. I'll go for orange this time. And there we go. So we can create 2 quick visuals. I'm going to make this smaller as well. And I'll go ahead and just put it right next to this one. So 2 quick visuals right there. Go ahead and insert those 2 charts and come right back. When we come back, we'll go ahead and insert a few more charts, and we'll take a deeper dive into the customizations. Now that we have 2 charts, let's go ahead and create another one. Let's focus on the scheduled meetings by month. So in this case, what I can do is I can simply select the months and the number of scheduled meetings here, and I can click on the Insert tab and insert a chart. So it wants to give me this line chart here. So the first thing I want to do is change this. This is better expressed in a pie chart. I already have a line chart, a column chart. So let's create a nice pie chart for this one here. I'll click on the drop down, and I'll scroll down. Surprisingly, it's not suggesting a pie chart, but that's no problem. I can scroll down here and I can choose a pie chart, the donut chart, or I can go for a 3D pie chart. I'll start with the pie chart first here. And so here's the chart. It looks very busy. There's a lot going on here. I'm going to resize it just a little bit to cover all of the other content that's on this page. So here is the actual chart. And so in this case, what we want to do, let's take a deeper dive into the actual chart. So right now, let's see if the chart is showing what we want it to show. It is showing so we do have January. If we go clockwise here, January over to December, we can see December has a slightly bigger piece of the pie than the others. So we're good to go there. But let's see if we can just get a different look and feel. Maybe we don't really want all of these numbers and percentages to show up. And maybe we can just have a nice legend that shows there as well. So to accomplish this, I'll click on the Customize tab here. And we can customize the chart style, the pieces of the pie slice, the axis and titles, and the legend as well. So I'll start from the top here. So this one, the basic thing I can do, I can convert this to a 3D pie chart. So I'll go ahead and convert this to 3D. So it just kind of rotates it there. If I want to, I can change the background color. I'll go for more of a bluish background color there. And I can select the font. So if I want a different font, I can go ahead and do that. I'll go for Tahoma. And I can apply a border as well. I'll just give it an orange border. And those are the basics. The next one is the pie chart. So depending on the type of chart that you have, you'll have some of the options here. So for this one, I do want a donut hole. So I'll introduce a 25% donut hole in the middle of the chart there. And as far as the labels, so now I have some different options for the labels. I don't have any labels right now. If I just click on label, this shows the actual month, which could be useful. I can show the value. I can show the percentage. I can also show the value and the percentage. And for now, I'll stick to the percentage. In similar fashion, I can choose the font. I'll go ahead and change the color here to, let's see if I can get away with this one. I'll go for standard white color. I'll make it bold. We can see that detail is occurring in here. All right, so that's the pie chart. And as far as the size, we can specify the size on our own, or we can just use the auto feature. Okay, now the pie slice. Now this is optional, you don't have to, but you can specify or customize the individual pieces of the pie. So for example, for December, I can either click on December here to toggle this, or I can just select December from the dropdown. It is slightly bigger than the others, so I want to call this one out. I want to move this from the center, so I'll pop this out 25% from the center. Now notice when I did that, it removed all of those other lines that were on the outside, and now I just have a better chart to work with here. I could also change the color for December, so I'll just make it black so it stands out there, and I'm good to go. What other customizations are available? Let's take a look at chart and axis titles. We were here before. This is where we can interact with the chart title. We can even introduce a subtitle to the chart if we want to, but I'll just call this one meetings per month. So meetings per month, and I'll go ahead and center align that. I'll make that bold. For the text color, I'll go for okay, this works. So that color right there works. So our chart looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and close the chart and axis titles. The last one is the legend. So right now we can see the legend is being positioned on the bottom. Now you can change that if you want to. I can turn the legend off as long as everyone understands that this is going from January to December on the clock there, if you will. Or I can put it on the top. I find it more useful if I put it on the top here. Just looks better. But we can change the positioning there if we want to as well. I'll go ahead and put this on the top, and I am good to go. Let's see the color. Okay, so I'll go for that color, or I can go for another contrast. Let's see what orange looks like. That's too orange. I'll stick with this color here. I'm good to go. And if I want to, I can go ahead and give this another font. Let's see which font looks bigger. There's Arial. Sans serif looks pretty the same. There we go. I'll go for the wide. I'll also see if I can do that for the title as well. And there we go. So there is our chart. So depending on the chart that you're working with, you will have different options under the Customize tab. If I click on the column chart here, you can see I'll have some different options in here, such as the horizontal axis, vertical axis, and then grid lines and ticks. So you can either leave the chart as is, but if you do need to make any customizations, just click on that Customize tab, and we can interact with all of the individual elements that are on the actual chart. Let's take a look at one more type of chart. It's called a sparkline. So a sparkline is another type of chart that fits within a cell. So let's say I want to go ahead and kind of analyze how we're doing in terms of completed tasks. Are we completing more tasks at the beginning of the year or more towards the end of the year? So I can just get a nice visual that shows me how we're trending from one month to the next in terms of completed tasks. To do that, I'll just go ahead and put a quick placeholder here. Call this trend analysis. And we need to insert a function. So I'll type the equal sign and I will type Sparkline here. We can see the Sparkline function shows up here. So it's a miniature chart within a single cell. I'll press the tab key to accept it. And it's asking me simply to select the data that I want to analyze. If we click on the drop down here, we have some examples, right? So we need to select the data source, and optionally, if we want, we can select the type of chart that's going to be displayed in here. I want the standard line chart, so I don't really need to do anything in here. I just need to highlight the completed tasks. So create a sparkline based on the data from cells C2 to C13. And once I press the enter key, here's my sparkline. So I can see there's a trend here. We're completing fewer tasks in the beginning of the year. Most of our tasks look like we're completing them either towards the middle or the end of the year here. There's a significant dip right here at the beginning. Looks like at the beginning of quarter number 4. So that's a quick analysis there. Now we can interact with that if we want to. Let's see if I can change the color. So if I change the font color, we can see it changes there. I'll make it, see if I can make it bold. I can also change the fill color behind it just to get a quick analysis. Now it makes sense to make the column wider and the row taller as well, so we can get a better visual of that. So that is the sparkline. In lesson 3, we'll take a look at freezing rows and headers and how we can add footers to our document. I'm going to head back over to my Google Sheet here. And we have the second worksheet tab, which is printing and presenting. So I'll go ahead and click on here. So this is our sample student school records here. So we have the student ID in column A, the student name, their grade, their parent. If you work in a school as an admin assistant, this will look very familiar to you. Lots and lots of columns to be able to work with, because we want to capture as much data as we can. Now, if we scroll down, we can see the challenge. It becomes a little harder to, now I've actually shortened this data set. Typically this would be hundreds and hundreds of records, but just to keep it simple, the main thing to know is if we want to work with this data set, once we scroll beyond row 2, which has the headers disappear. And as we scroll beyond, let's say column B, which includes the student ID and the student name, once we scroll beyond there, it's very difficult to know which record we are working with. So we may want to do something like freeze the row and freeze the column so that as we are scrolling vertically, we can always see the headers here on row 2. And if we're scrolling horizontally, we can always see the student name and the student ID. So let's see how we can do that. I'm going to ignore this convert to table command here. Okay, so here we go. So what I can do is I will go ahead and click on row 2. And if I click on the View tab, we have the freeze commands. So now what I can do is I can freeze up to row 2. So I'll go ahead and click on freeze up to row 2. And now we can see a small gray bar here indicating that that row has been frozen. So now what I've done, now I can scroll through my document and I can always see the headers. So that's useful. Let's say we're working on record number 150. We can always see the information here. So whether we're adding a new record or modifying an existing one, we can always see the headers. The other thing is, as we scroll from right to left, we always want to be able to see the student ID and the student name. So I'll go ahead and click here in column B, and I'll click on the View tab. I'll click on Freeze. Now in Google Sheets, you can freeze the row and the column. So I already have the row frozen. I'll go ahead and freeze up to column B. And there you go. So we can see we have up to row 2 and column B frozen. So if I scroll to the right, I can always see the student ID and the student name that I'm working with. So if I wanted to change John Doe to basketball, I can go ahead and do that. Right? So that's how we can freeze rows and or columns. If I click on the View tab, if I want to remove that feature, I can choose to freeze no rows and freeze no columns. So if I do that, this puts it back to normal, and then I can work as I did before. Our next task is to insert headers and footers into the document and be able to export this to a PDF. These are both accessible from the print dialog. So I can click here on the print. I can also click on File and click on Print, or you can press Control P. I'll go ahead and click on the print dialog here. And here is the actual layout of the page. So you can see right now, the orientation is landscape. So when you're converting this to a PDF, it does take into consideration the print settings. So you do want to make sure everything looks okay here. Right now I'm scaling it to fit to the page. So that is taking care of it. Let's see if I use normal 100%. We can see it's spreading the information out over several pages. So I may want to just go ahead and roll everything up to be able to fit to the actual page. So that looks okay. Here's the landscape orientation, which looks better than the portrait orientation. So I'll go ahead and use that. Can change the paper size if you want to as well. In this case, legal works better. If I put this on letter, we can still read it, but it's better on legal paper. So I'll go ahead and choose legal. Even if you have tabloid available, that's the best option. But I'll stick to legal here, and I'm good to go. So notice I'm printing the current sheet. I'm not printing the entire workbook. So I'll go ahead and scroll down here to the bottom with headers and footers. So if I want to add headers and footers, here are the different options that I can use. So if I want the page number in there, I can add the page number. We can see it appearing on the bottom right. Or if I want the name of the sheet, here's the name of the sheet right here as well. Right. So we're good to go. Now, once I click on next, this will allow me to choose the actual printer. So we do have the save as PDF option available, or it's built into Google Chrome. So I'll go ahead and click next. Let's check out formatting first. Let's see what options are available in here. Okay, not much in there to do. I'll go ahead and click next. And now I want to save as a PDF. Other options, if you have background graphics, you can choose to print that as well. And this is good to go because it's all just going to be displayed on one sheet. I'll go ahead and click save. And I'll go ahead and save this right here to my downloads folder. And I'll just call this student list. Here's the student list. I'll go ahead and right click on here. And I'll go ahead and open this with Google Chrome. Let's see what that looks like. So here is the actual PDF version of that particular file, right? So pretty nice. So there we go. We have the PDF, we have our header, and we have our footer as well. In lesson 4, we'll take a look at how we can link data using Google Sheets. We can link to a sheet, we can link to a cell, we can even link to an external source as well. Go ahead and open up file number 3. Remember to make a copy of the file. So click on File and make a copy so that you can edit the file here. And we'll start off by linking to a sheet. Now, if I want to link to a sheet, I can press Control K. If I want to link to an external source as well, I can press Control K. So what I would like to do is to kind of create a navigation, almost like a table of contents. So this will be my outline tab. And I can simply click on a link to jump to either consolidated expenses and different regions and so forth and so on. So to do that, I do want to kind of set things up here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 cells I want to use. So I just want to make the row height bigger. So I'll go ahead and select these 5 rows here. And I'm going to resize the rows. And I'll make these 50. I'm also going to pre-format them so that they are bold and have a nice big font as well. 15. Okay, so I'll click here and I'll press Control K. So here's the simple link dialog. Now on the bottom is the bonus. We can refer to a sheet and or a name range. If I click here, here are the different sheets that's available right here. So I can click on consolidated expenses and there you go. If I click here, this brings me right to that particular sheet. So this is useful if you have a lot of worksheet tabs. You can just create a small navigation here and link to maybe some tabs that just has some rolled up data or some summary data. I'll go ahead and complete the process here. I'll go ahead and link to the East region. So there we go. Control K, sheets and name ranges, West region. So just 2 more to go here. Control K, sheets and name ranges, North region. And then finally, Control K, sheets and name ranges, and I'll go to the South region. So mission accomplished. Here is my simple navigation that I can use. And as you can see, it's working. I can link to those different data sets as well. Go ahead and set up your navigation. Go ahead and link to those 5 worksheets and come right back. We can also link to other cells on other worksheets. So for example, if you take a look at the East region here, we can see that we had expenses for office supplies in week 1 for $115.94. In the West region, 455.71. In the North region, 455.52. And in the South region, we had 432.81. So can we calculate the totals for all of our week 1 office supplies and have the output on one sheet? And the answer is yes, because we can refer to other cells even if they're on other sheet tabs here as well. So let's see how this works. I'll go ahead and click on my week 1. So here's the consolidated expenses. Again, this is the sheet that I want to focus on. I want this to kind of be the output here. So I'll click on cell B2 and I'll type the equal sign, and I want to click on the East region. So I want to add the office supplies for the East region plus the office supplies for the West region plus the week 1 office supplies for the North region, and then finally the week 1 office supplies expenses for the South region. If I go ahead and press the Enter key, this is going to bring me back to the Consolidated Expenses Worksheet tab, and we can see the total here is $1459.98. If I press the Enter key, mission accomplished. Now it's a really long formula. If you take a look at it, it includes the name of the sheet and then the name of the cell on that particular sheet. Again, sheet, cell, sheet, cell, sheet, cell. So we can refer to others in that way. Now, a really nice trick here, I don't have to write the rest of the formulas. What I can do, I grab this little handle here on the bottom right, and if I drag this over to the right, this will calculate the week 2 values for all of those regions, week 3, week 4, and so forth and so on. I can also highlight this entire row and drag down just like that. And that way I was able to quickly, just with one formula, consolidate all of the expenses into one. So mission accomplished. I'll go ahead and just fix this data set here. And then I'll go ahead and make sure everything is centered and we're good to go. So here is our completed report. So again, we only needed to write one calculation, and then just using the autofill behavior, we can calculate the rest of the data set as well. For example, the week 8 calculations for food, we can see we're summarizing the same cell, I6 on the South region, North region, West, and the East as well. So mission accomplished there. So the other option is to be able to link to an external source. So we can press Control K. So let's say I wanted to create a link to, let's see, I'll say link to Learnit. So if I press Control K, I can simply just go ahead, and it's already showing up here because it's in my browser history. So I could just go ahead and type it in here if I want to, right? So I can paste the link in here. I already have it showing up, so I'll just go ahead and click here. And there we go. So in that way I can create a link. If I click here, this will open up that web page in a new window or in a new tab for me as well. So pretty cool. If I want to edit the link, I can click on edit, and I can maybe go to a specific page on the Learnit website, and I can just go ahead and press apply as well. If I want to delete it, I can simply just click on the cell and delete the cell. And that will take care of that for me. So we're good to go. So that's just a few ways where we can link to a sheet, link to a range, and or link to an external source. That concludes module 1. We're able to interact with tables, charts, different page and data views, and we're able to link data as well. Let's go ahead and jump into module number 2. We will cover pivot tables, data validation, and we'll take a look at sharing and collaboration as well. So go ahead and open up file number 4. Make sure to make a copy of file number 4 and come right back. Let's take a look at this custom report. So this report is a rolled up report again. In column A, we have the month from January down to December. We're also tracking the amount of sales for the department. We're tracking the amount of new clients that we gained. We're also recording the client retention percentage. So are we losing more clients or gaining more? We're also internally, we're gauging our employee performance rating on a scale of 1 to 5. And we also have the customer satisfaction from 1 to 10 here as well. So a lot of data that's been rolled up. Typically, this will be thousands and thousands of rows of data, but we're able to get the rolled up data here in one. So the next thing we want to do is to be able to gain some insights into the data, or maybe gain some summaries. So for example, what are the total sales, the average customer performance rating, and the overall client retention percentage. Maybe some data. What were the values for quarter 1 in terms of sales or new clients? So to do that, we can use what's called a pivot table. I'm going to highlight my data here, and I'm going to click on the Insert tab. And here I can insert a pivot table. It's going to ask me where I want to place the pivot table. You can place it on a new sheet, but just for the first few here, I'll create the pivot tables on this sheet. So I'll choose existing sheet and I'll put my first pivot table right here in H1. I'll go ahead and press OK and press create. So we can see a pane opens up on the right. This is the pivot table editor. So right now it's giving us some suggested pivot tables. So it wants to show the data for us. So this one will show the sales, new clients, retention, employee. So pretty much everything in here. These two are pretty much the same. This one gives the average of client retention. All right. I'll go ahead and insert this one here. And if I scroll over to the right, we can see what it's done with the data. It's summarizing all the data for us. Right. So on the bottom row, we have a grand total row. So over 1.7 million in sales, 146 new customers. Right now it's giving us the sum of the client retention, which doesn't make sense, and also the sum of the customer rating, which doesn't make sense. So we want to change these to the average. Let's see this one. This one was giving us the average of the client retention, and let's see. Okay, that's fine. So we can leave it as is. What else can we do with this table? Well, I can choose, maybe I don't want to see all that detail. Maybe I just want to focus on the sum of sales and the new clients. Well, what I can do, if I scroll down, the way that this works is that we can introduce different fields into these different areas. So we can display data in the rows, the columns, and we also have filters that we can introduce in here. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and choose a simple table. This just shows the sum of sales for each month. Right? So it's a nice simple table. Here are the sum of sales for each month. We can see the grand total here is a little over 1.7 million. So mission accomplished. That's our first pivot table. I'm going to click back. I'll go ahead and close this pane over here. So we'll leave this one as is. That's a good suggested pivot table. I'm going to insert another one. So I'll click on Insert Pivot Table. Existing sheet. I'll put this one right here. I'll press OK, and then I'll click on Create here as well. Right. So it's also giving us some more insights here. So for our second pivot table, let's go ahead and choose one, and then we'll just filter out the data that we want to show. So I'll go ahead and click here on sum of sales. Here is the pivot table down here on the bottom left. And I just want to focus on the month, the sales, and the clients. So I want to remove client retention, employee performance rating, and customer satisfaction. So to do that, I can scroll down here. So notice in the rows, we're displaying the months. So the months are being displayed here. And the columns, we have several. So here's the column section. And in the column section, we have sales, new clients, retention. I want to remove some of these. So I can simply click on this X button here. So I'll go ahead and remove the client retention, the employee performance, and the customer satisfaction. So this pivot table is showing us the sales and the number of new clients by month. I can also change the name that appears here. Give me 1 second. Let me fix these columns. So I can go ahead and just add a name for the pivot table if I want to, right? So right up here, I can just go ahead and type a name. I can say sales and clients by month. Go ahead and press the enter key and I'm good to go. I'll go ahead and I'll merge these cells together. I'll make it bold and we're good to go. So here's my pivot table. These colors are interesting. I'm going to go ahead and give these a different color. Let's see if I can get some alternating colors in here. Go for more of a bluish tone. So here's my pivot table, sales and number of clients gained by month. My other pivot table over here is showing us the sum of sales by month as well. So one table we inserted was a suggested table. The second table, we ran we just removed some of the fields that were being displayed in the columns. Go ahead and insert those two tables and come right back. I'm going to move this table down here just to make room for my next table. Let's go ahead and build another table. So what we want to do now is we want to be able to filter a table, and we want to be able to build a custom table. So far we've created two pivot tables. They were both suggested tables. We're able to choose the columns and let's go ahead and create a filter. So I'll click back on my data set here. I'll click on the insert tab. I want to insert another pivot table. I do want it on this sheet as well. And I'll place it right over here. Just like before, I'll go ahead and create this as well. I'll create the sum of sales for each month as well. So I'll go ahead and add this. And you can see the table is up and running. Now, the only thing here is that what if I just want to focus? I don't want the entire table. I just want the totals for, let's say, Q1. So to do that, I can scroll down on the pivot table editor. So we have rows, we have columns, we have values, and then we have filters. So these are the keys to building our table. We just need to introduce fields into these different areas. Well, what I want to do is add a filter so that I can filter by month. And then I just want all of the months that correlates to Q1, which in this case will be January, February, and March. So I'll click on add to add the month filter in here. You can see right now it's showing all items. So I'll click on this drop down here. I'm going to clear everything and then I'll go ahead and choose January, February, and March and press OK. And you can see the pivot table has pivoted. It's reshaped itself. It's recalculated. So here's the grand total sales for Q1. So now I can come in here and just type Q1 sales. I'll go ahead and get some alternating colors in here as well. I'll go for this color and I'm good to go. So that's how we can use the filter option. We can filter any table if I wanted to, I can even filter this one if I want to as well. Right. So we are good to go. Let's go ahead and build a custom pivot table. So this time I'll go ahead and click on the Insert tab, and I'll click on Pivot Table here. I do want it on this sheet. I'll place it right here, and I'll go ahead and click on Create. Now, when you're building a pivot table, it's a matter of introducing the different fields into the pivot table. So I can introduce a field into the rows, the columns, and the values. Optionally, if I want to filter, I can also introduce a filter as well. So we can simply click on a button here to add a particular value, and this will actually give us the table data in the pivot table. So let's see if I can create a pivot table that shows we already have one for the sum of sales and the sum of new clients. We have one for the sales by month, and we have one for the sales for the month of, or for quarter one. So let's go ahead and introduce a value here. I'm going to introduce let's focus on the employee performance rating. So I'll click on values, and I'll add the employee performance rating in here. So it's giving us the sum of the employee performance rating. And let's see, I don't want the sum. I just want so right now we can see it's being summarized. I want the average, right? So what is the average employee performance rating for the entire year? And you can see we get a number here that makes more sense. So on a scale of 1 to 5 for the entire year, we can see it's 4.2. I'll go ahead and format this. I'll decrease the decimal spaces here. Right, so overall, 4.26. So I'll change this to average employee rating. So here we go. Right, so that works out pretty well. So the pivot table you don't have to use all the fields. You can create a nice single visual here as well. So we can change the way that the number is being aggregated. So we have the sum, we have the average, and we have other options in here as needed. For example, if I were to create another table, I'll go ahead and click here. I'll close this out. I'll click on the Insert tab. I want to insert another pivot table. And I'll put this one right here. Click on Create. So that's the average employee rating. What if I want the customer satisfaction? So I'll go ahead and introduce that to the values. So customer satisfaction. And there we go. I do want to see it by month, but I'd also like to see the average on the bottom here. So right now it's summarizing the satisfaction. Okay, so we have the customer satisfaction total here. And in the rows, I'm going to add the month. Right. So here's the customer satisfaction by month. But down here for the grand total, I want this to be expressed as an average. So I'll click on average here. And you can see all these numbers are already averages, so they don't change. But down here on the bottom, I can get the overall total. I'll go ahead and change this, just decrease the decimal spaces as well. And I'll say just customer satisfaction. Not sure why I keep getting that dark gray outline here, but I'll go ahead and just give it another alternating colors. This time I'll choose this one. Are we good to go? So those are the basics when working with pivot tables. Depending on the data set that you're working with, you'll get some really nice suggested tables. This is a rolled up data set, so we're not getting too many in here. But if you have a really large data set, Google Sheets will give you some nice suggested tables that you can insert. And typically those work well right out of the box. But now we know as well, we can build our own pivot table just by introducing different values into the rows, the columns, the filters, or the values as well. So go ahead and practice inserting a few pivot tables and come right back. Welcome back. In lesson 6, we'll take a look at how we can enforce data entry with data validation. Or in this case, we can introduce in-cell dropdowns for our data set. Go ahead and open up file number 5. Once again, please make sure to make a copy of the file. Now, we have 2 sheets on this document here. So we have one called Protect and Share, and we have another one that has lists. So the way that this works is we are providing a course registration for 2025. So courses will run over a 4-week period, and you may attend 2 courses per week or 8 in total. Over on the right, we just have some guidelines in terms of how to make the most out of your experience. 6 quick steps here, from preparation, active participation, all the way down to following up. So we want to improve the experience for our attendees who are going to be signing up for these courses. So they need to simply fill out the employee column, choose their department, choose the course that they want to take, and then the priority. We can see in column D, we already have a drop down here that they can simply click on to indicate whether the course that they are registering for is their first, second, or third priority. So this way, if the course is booked, everyone who basically communicated that that's their first choice, they will get first selection for there as well. So I'll go ahead and put my name in here. So I'll say Mo Jones is from the IT department, and I want to sign up for, well, let's see what courses are here. All right, so here are actually courses, right? So we have a few courses to choose from. So here are 8 courses that we can choose from. And I should be using technology and not IT. So we want to keep everything uniform. We don't want anyone just kind of, making up or using an acronym for the actual department. So instead of allowing Mo Jones to put OIT in here, we want Mo Jones to be able to choose from a list of departments. So that is called data validation. So I'm going to use the list here for the departments. So here are the different departments that you'll be able to choose from. Here are the courses that you'll be able to choose from as well. And here's also the employee list. So no typing necessary. You can simply click and choose what you're looking for. So I'll go ahead and get this set up here. Let's take care of the employee column first. I'm going to highlight all of the data set here. So right now, I can go down to row 44. I can keep going as far as I want to. I can also extend this later on, but for now, just to keep it simple, I'll just add up to row 44. I'll click on the data tab and I will click on data validation. Now, once I click on data validation, I want to go ahead and add a rule. Now, for some reason, let's see. Yeah, I'll go ahead and click on add a rule. And you can see it's already providing those in-cell dropdowns for me. And this is allowing me to type my options in here if I want to. So this is based on a dropdown, right? But I don't want to type because I have a lot of employees on my list. So I don't want to necessarily type all of these employees in here. So what I prefer to do is if I click on the criteria, I want a drop down from a range. If I click on from a range, then I can click here and I can select my actual data range. So I'm going to go to my list and I'll select all of the employees that are on this list. And there you go. So I'll go ahead and press OK. And you can see it's automatically entered all those different employees for me. So now we can simply just click on the drop down and choose the employee. I'll go back to protect and share, and I'll go ahead and press done. Let's see if there are any other options in here. I'll scroll down. Okay, just allowing multiple selections. I don't want that. That's fine. I'll go ahead and press done. And there you go. So now I have two data validation rules, one on column D for the priority and one on column A. All right, so I'll go ahead and close this, and I'll go ahead and look for Mo Jones in here. Let's see if I can type the letter M to filter, and we can, but there's no Mo Jones on this list. So we need to add Mo Jones. Well, how can we do that? Well, let's see if I can add. If I click on the drop down here, all the way to the bottom, we have a small edit button. So I'll go ahead and click edit here. And what I can do is I can go back to the list. Let's see if I can add another name here. Now, it doesn't allow me to add one. I'll click on advanced options. Okay, that doesn't help me either. So what I'll do, I'll go back to the list. I'll close this here. I'll go back to the list. And I'm just going to add Mo Jones down here. So I'll put Mo Jones, press the enter key. Let's see if that automatically updated or if I need to come back and do something special. So again, I'll click on edit. And it's going to 101, so it doesn't look like it included that last entry. So I can simply just click here. And I can re-highlight the range, or I can just add that extra row up to row 102. So I'll type 102 and I'll type done. Now it's asking me if I want to, it says there are 40 other drop-down items. Do I want to just make it for this cell or the entire one? I do want to make it available to the entire one. So I'll click on apply to all. And now I should be able to find Mo Jones in here. There you go. And we're good to go. Now I just need to go ahead and repeat the steps for the department. So I'll go ahead and highlight all of the cells for the department. I'll go ahead and add a rule. Again, we want a drop down from a range. And I'll go ahead and choose the departments in here. So here are the departments. I'll go ahead and press OK. I'll press done. Mission accomplished. So Mo Jones is from the technology department. And now I can go ahead and add the course as well. I'll go ahead and add one more for the course. So add another rule. Drop down from a range. And I'll go ahead and select the, let's go back here. All right, so this is the course. I'll go ahead and add the courses in here. I'll go ahead and press OK. I'll press done, and I'm finished. So I'll go ahead and just choose a course. I'll choose leadership and management training, and this is my first priority. So we are good to go. So go ahead and set up your data validation for those 3 columns and come right back. We'll take a look at some troubleshooting to see what we can and cannot do when entering data into those different cells. Let's see what we can and cannot do. For this second registration here, I'm going to enter my name. So this time let's see if I can type my name. So it does allow me to type because it does meet the criteria. It has to be a name from the actual list. I'll try another one here. I'll type my name incorrectly this time. Let's see what happens. And it tells me we cannot do that. The data you entered in cell A6 violates the data validation rules set on this cell. So that in itself is exactly what data validation is. You can only select or enter data into that cell based on the criteria. In this case, we're using a simple list to enforce the data that can be entered into those different cells. Now, if someone complains about that, let's see, if I click on the range here, which is right here. So I can delete the data validation. I can remove it by clicking on the button right here. Or if I click on it, I can make some exceptions. So if I scroll all the way down to the advanced options and scroll down. Now, if the data is invalid, I can reject the input. Or I can say, you know what, I'll show a warning. And you probably shouldn't be doing that, but it always makes sense to me just to reject the input, right? So just reject the input. Showing a warning doesn't really help because we're going to have inconclusive data. They may complain that these chips are too big, so they may want something else, like an arrow, a simple drop-down arrow that they can click on to be able to select the different values. Or we can completely remove the drop-downs, but they're still there. We just don't have a visual. I'll change this to an arrow and I'll go ahead and press done and we're good to go. Now that's data validation. There are other types of data validations in here. For example, if you click on the criteria, you can see that we can only enter text that contains or does not contain. We have a lot of date options in here. So if you're creating some type of registration form, they can only enter dates between two different values. Or if you're looking for numbers, so you have numbers, we have text, and we have dates to work with. So you can control what is actually being input into those different cells. It's a great way when you're collecting information like this so that the data collection is actually uniform. So just a little bit of troubleshooting with data validation. Again, you can also modify the data validation as well. I'm going to click on the priority drop down here. So let's see. I'll click on data validation. And for column D, I'll change these to different colors. So first priority is green. Second is going to be, I'll go for that color and then that. So we can kind of move things around here, right? So maybe this will be third. And I'll just enter another one in here. And there we go. So we do have some other options. We can add other items, or we can go ahead and delete one as well. So that is data validation. For lesson 7, we'll take a look at sharing and collaboration. The main thing to know about sharing and collaboration is that once you have created your Google Sheet, it's automatically saved to the cloud. All changes are saved in real time. So the first thing you need to do is choose who you want to share the file with. What type of permissions do you want to grant? And you can use the collaboration tools that are available as well. So I'm going to go back to my Google Sheets here. And if I want to go ahead and share, right here on the top right, I can click on the share icon. So I can either copy the link that I can share with others, or I can click on that share icon, and then I can choose who I want to share with. The other option is you can share files from your Google Drive. So if you go to your Google Drive, you can click on the more actions here, and you can click on share, and we see the same capability here. For this one, I'll share it from within the file. So I'll go ahead and click on that share icon. And the first window that pops up is going to show your email address. So I'll skip that window. So just click on share and then type in the name of the recipient or recipients that you want to be able to share with. So I just clicked on the share icon. I'm sharing it with one individual here. And so the next step was what type of access do I want to grant? So right now, I have three options. I have viewer, I have commenter, and I have editor. So if I do want my recipient to be able to edit the file, I do want to assign the editor. The viewer just means that they can only view the file. They can see any comments and suggestions as well. If I change this to commenter, then they can leave comments, but they cannot make any other changes to the file as well. And of course, editor will grant them full control. So I'll go ahead and send this message out. And I'll just say, please edit. And I'll go ahead and click on send. I can also go ahead and copy the link if I want to as well. So you can either send out a link, or you can, so if you're in a meeting, you can copy the link here, paste the link in the chat, or send it to another medium. But if you're just sending to one individual, you can just use the email address and go ahead and click send. We can see the access has been updated, it tells me right here. And I can see a small icon here indicating that this has been shared as well. So I'm good to go. So when you are actually, once your recipient clicks on the link and starts editing the file, you will see them show up in here. So you can see what they're doing. You'll notice the cell is highlighted where they're making any markups. And you can also go ahead and leave comments in here as well. A common thing to do is to leave comments in the actual file. So for example, if I want to ask a question with my other collaborators, if we need to add any other courses, I can click on the course cell here, and I can go ahead and insert a comment. Comments are right here. I can also press Ctrl-Alt-M if the shortcuts are enabled. I'll go ahead and add a comment in here, and I'll say, please review the course offerings. And I can also use the @mention. So if I use the @mention, then I can specifically mention someone. They'll receive a notification that they were mentioned in the comment of this particular document. I'll go ahead and click on comment. And there we go. Right. So we can mark this as resolved. So it's almost like a task, or I have more options in here. I can go ahead and edit it, or I can delete it, or I can get a link to the actual comment as well. So pretty nice. So a lot of collaborative features. Again, the main benefit of collaborating is the file is being accessed from one location, and everyone can mark up that file at the same time. We can all be in the file at the same time and make changes. All the changes are merged, they're synced, and they're also saved automatically. No need to download the file and work on it separately. We can all work on the file right here in one place as well. If I click on the File tab, let's see if there's anything else in here. We do have the version history. So we can also, so when you're collaborating, you may want to keep track of the version history. This way, if a change was made, you can always fall back to an earlier version. Once I clicked on the version history, here is the version history dialog, and here's the current version. If I click on to expand the detailed versions, so here are the different versions that were automatically created as I'm working on this file. So 9:13 a.m. all the way up to 9:27 a.m. So it created different versions. For a particular version, if I click on it, it shows me the state of the document from that version. I'll go back to, let's say 9:18. And you can see for 9:18, at this point, I had not yet introduced data validation for columns B and column C. If I want to restore to this version, I can click on restore, and this will actually make this the current version that we can work on. I can also go ahead and make a copy of this, and I can name this version as well so that it's more descriptive. So pretty nice tools that we can work with. I'll go ahead and go back to the document, and here's the real-time document is in here as well. So just different things that we can do when collaborating. Now, if I want to change the access, maybe I want to either change the access from editor to viewer or from viewer to editor, I can do that. I can also stop the collaboration. If I click on the share icon here, it tells me that it's shared with one person. If I click on here, this will give me the dialog that I need. It will show me who I'm sharing the file with, what type of access they have. From there, I can change the type of access, or I can remove the access completely. So As expected, we should be able to stop sharing a file and manage the permissions that we have granted as well. So those are the basics when it comes to collaborating on a file. That concludes module 2. So we covered pivot tables. The great thing is we can receive some suggested pivot tables. We took a look at how we can introduce data validation, in particular creating in-cell dropdowns to limit the type of data that can be entered into a cell. And we explored the different options available when it comes to sharing and collaborating on a document as well. That concludes our course. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Until next time.